Hi, it's Dwyer. GamblersAdvisory.com, a free site. BettingAngle.us, a free site. Today is October 27th, uh, 2023. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Like Willie Nelson, I'm on the road again, but let's talk about a spectacular fight. On the undercard of the Fury Ngannou headliner, right? And this fight features two unbeaten heavyweights, David Adeleye and Fabio Wadley. Now, let me just say, a lot of people are going to disagree with me. That's fine. I look at Adeleye as a mid to short range hooker. He's very good throwing shots to the body. He has power, right? You're talking about two big heavyweights. Adeleye, I believe, is 6'4". Here's the catch. Here's the rub. I haven't seen a lot of ring coverage from Adeleye. In other words, he's really at his best throwing hooks. That gives an opponent a safe harbor, right? Understand, an opponent against a hooker like Adeleye knows that if he can back away from the pocket, he'll have time to think. Right now, Fabio Wadley is what I call a freak athlete. Right? I consider Usyk to be a freak athlete. Freak athletes are the kinds of people who can take that step back. Right? Wadley is somebody you need to keep a close eye on. I was wrong about Wadley in the past. I saw his matches, the Gorman fight, for example, where he's getting roughed up early. And I concluded that Wadley wasn't defensively blessed, right? I concluded that Wadley didn't really have a construct. He was an improvisational fighter. But the more I've looked at Wadley, the more I realize that he throws so many punches with such ferocity. In other words, he has a broad assortment of punches. He has ring coverage. He can throw an overhand right. He can be outside and then dip a shoulder, and he's cat quick. Right? He's two-handed. He's less structured than Adeleye. I believe he's a wild card in the heavyweight division. This is a guy who has huge upside, right? There are going to be days when he's in against a guy who's going to realize that Wadley is the gifted puncher in the fight. I believe he's the gifted puncher here, as hard as Adeleye hits, right? Opponents are going to realize that Wadley is unorthodox to the point where, just as this gambler is not sure what Wadley's trying to accomplish a lot of the times, I'm sure opponents are wondering where Wadley's coming from. Right? This is the guy who's very hard to prepare for. A heavyweight can figure out what Adeleye is going to do and can get a sparring partner to mimic his style. With Wadley, you really can't. This is the freelancer. Right? This is the jazz musician where he takes the song in a direction you weren't thinking of, right? Think John Coltrane. I believe the bet of the weekend here is that this fight doesn't go the distance. Somebody's going to get caught, right? Wadley, as I said, is not defensively blessed. He is offensively blessed. I'm not sure if Adeleye can handle his power. I know some tough things have been said by Adeleye about Wadley trying to be a crowd pleaser and stuff like that. You know, it's my belief that Wadley doesn't care about any of that. That at this stage of the game, Wadley understands that he has gifts that most fighters don't have. I think Wadley would be fascinating against an Usyk for exactly the reasons why Daniel Dubois failed, right? Dubois was structured. Dubois was reading feints. Dubois was paralyzed on the outside, afraid to throw because he knew he'd be countered. Wadley, by comparison, is a risk taker, right? Wadley would see the feints and would run the red lights. Wadley would understand that he's a freak athlete, right? I think Usyk is too. But Wadley would realize that his freak athleticism might have more power in it than Usyk's. So this is a very important fight. Wadley is a very unique fighter. He's not the kind of fighter I usually back, right? I like guys with constructs, guys who have a method to the madness. Here, Wadley's method is chaos, right? And simply put, I believe he's one of the biggest punchers in the heavyweight division. I don't think the fight goes the distance. I believe you're getting pretty good odds on that, right? The over-under is something like 6.5. I'll be surprised if it makes it to the midway point of the 7th round, right? But I'm going to play it a little bit safer. So I have money on both, the under 6.5, as well as that the fight doesn't go the distance, right? I have more money on the latter than the former. I'm hoping this fight ends early, right? Adeleye is the guy who tries to chop down a tree, right? Wadley is the guy who bulldozes the tree, right? The key here is that the tree is going to fall. I'm hoping it falls before the midway point of the 6th round. I'm hoping to win both halves of the play. If it doesn't, midway point of the 7th round, it's 6.5 round over-under. If it doesn't fall, and by it, I mean either guy getting stopped, right? I'm not going to pick a side here, even though I think Wadley hits harder and is faster, right? I also recognize that Adeleye has better defense. They both matter, right? I believe somebody gets stopped here. I'm not sure if either guy here is going to be able to survive an absolute firefight, right? I'm hoping it ends inside of 6.5 rounds before the midway point of the 7th round. If it doesn't, I'm hoping it doesn't go the distance. But I need for everyone here to understand the risk involved, and it's substantial. If this fight goes the distance, you lose it all, right? Doesn't matter whose hand gets raised. You're out if that happens. That's the level of confidence that I have in the punching power of both men here. I believe somebody is going to get stopped inside of the distance. That's the way I'm playing it. Let me hear from you. If you disagree with me, I understand. Adeleye believes he's a very heavy puncher. I believe he's not the heavier puncher in this fight, right? I understand people have varying thoughts about Fabio Wadley, right? Let me just say, the more I look at Wadley, the more I realize he is extremely dangerous because of his ring coverage, because of his unpredictability, because of the fact that he can throw different punches with different hands. That's how I see it. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section of this video. If there are other props that fascinate you, if there's a round betting prop that you're interested in, if there's a different strategy that you're pursuing in this fight, if you believe this fight goes the distance, tell us about it in the comment section of this YouTube video. Thanks for stopping by.